I know people said about Phil Collins, but I had no idea that it was like that he had his own private collection.
You want to go see some cool stuff now?
Yeah, should we go see some good stuff?
Let's go on over.
Greetings and welcome back to another hand-shaking camera experience.
We're here today at the Alamo and we're going to find out what the Alamo stands for.
We're very, very privileged to have a guided tour.
Yep, and Laurel's kindly taken some time out of her day to actually help us out and give us a bit of a tour of the Alamo.
First instincts, very surreal being here. Really, really surreal. I'm sure we're going to really grasp the history of what went on here and the Texas pride. We need to learn more about it.
Yeah, a lot more about the history, and I think it is, like you said, surreal being here and is not quite knowing what to expect out of it all. And I think I was surprised that it is in the middle of like a city where it is.
Exactly.
I would have thought it would have been more desolate around it, if that is the word.
Keep watching. If you want to follow our adventures across America, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified every time we upload a new video. We bloody love you. I'll be back in 2 secs.
This is our main museum area, and it just opened up in March, and it is home to our Spanish colonial collection with the Yena family, Phil Collins collection.
Yeah, which we heard about.
Good old Phil loves our Alamo.
Aww.
I was very sad he didn't come for the unveiling in March, but I think his health is not super fabulous these days.
Bless him.
So this has 10,000 square feet of museum space available to us here, which is like the most we've ever had for any of our stuff that we've ever done, which is really awesome because there's things in here that I had seen glimpses of, and there's other things that I'd never seen because they were in our vaults.
Yeah.
And we just have the space for them, so we had a lot of fun stuff getting to add to all this as well. Statue over there of William Barrett Travis is new. Well, the whole thing's new, but we just got him
He's more new.
I don't know, a month and a half ago or something like that. He, of course, you know, showing the line in the sand. He was a commander here during the Battle of the Alamo time period. And 26, he was a colonel, lieutenant colonel, and fought and died here with the men. They believe he was one of the first men who got killed on Sunday, March 6th that year with that battle.
Wow, 26.
26 years old, yeah. Our oldest was 55, I think, or something like that, as far as the age of the men who were here, and the youngest is 16.
Wow, too young.
14 of women and children did survive. They were actually, the women were basically instructed by Santa Anna, go out, tell the rest of Texas, this is what's going to happen to you guys too. So he, wanted to actually take one of the kiddos that was there, whose dad, of course, was killed in the battle. Mom was there. She was there. She was 18 months old, 22 if you, in some accounts, you know, kind of a thing. And he's like, well, I'll raise her as mine. And I'm like, you know, the mother's like, no, you killed my husband, you're not taking my baby too.
No,
this is all I got left of him, you know, kind of a thing. But yeah, so that was Susanna Dickinson with her baby Angelina. They go back to Gonzales where they had a home there. We have what's called a runaway scrape, which is in preparation for the Battle of the Alamo. Mexican soldiers are leaving here, heading to chase down Sam Houston for that final battle. And they're trying to cut off any supplies that might be in the way for the Mexican army to obtain. So they're burning their houses. They're killing their livestock because they don't want the Mexican soldiers to obtain them. And so, yeah, it's
sad, isn't it? So
yeah.
you'd be doing that.
This is our 16-pound cannon. It's the biggest cannon we've got that is original.
Okay.
Our largest that we had here on site for the battle was 18 pounds. And that was in the northwest corner. So those stairs that are up there across the street, that's where that was located. We have a reproduction of it right there, but this was in the northwest corner, which is where the Gibbs Hotel is today by the federal building there. But it talks a lot about the cleaning process and restoration of it, coating it with the black paint after it's all said and done to make sure it holds out.
So this is the actual one,
That's
not
the
a
actual
replica?
cannon. Yeah,
okay.
that is the actual cannon.
Wow.
This used to be over in one of the courtyards, and kids climbed on it all the time.
I can imagine. Just too tempted, isn't it?
And then we get people that come back and they want to like do the reproduction of what their kids, when their kids climbed on it when they were little, and now they're adults, and we want to have a picture with it again. And it's like, yeah.
Do you know how old this is? Oh, it's safer in here.
But here's our buddy Phil,
Aww.
loving her Alamo.
Good old Phil.
I actually was there for this one, I believe, in 2017.
Wow.
Bronze models that are out in front of the long barrack that you probably passed, he actually paid to have those done, so he financed our creation of those. And then George Nelson, who's a fairly well-known artist around the Alamo, was actually the artist who created them. So George was there and Phil was there, and I didn't get to say hi to either one of them.
Oh, no.
You know.
What is his connection to the Alamo? Just that he likes it?
Phil was around, of course, when Fess Parker played Davy Crockett for Disney back in 1955.
Right.
And fell in love with the Alamo as a kid. So when he became Phil Collins, that we know him as, I guess his first wife bought him his first artifact. And that just kind of started him on the lookout for things. And he ended up with the world's largest privately held collection of Alamo artifacts. And then in 2014, he gifted it to us in proviso that we build something to house it all.
Not just...
Yeah, we didn't have space.
Yeah.
We didn't have space. We had a few pieces out, and so we saw some of those, and then sometimes we would have kind of like staff training days, nights, whatever, where our curator would bring out a couple more pieces, and we're like, oh my God, that's touched by Phil. No, you can't touch it. You know? Are you out and walking now? Are you out and walking? Do you want to go see some cool stuff now?
Yeah, should we go see some good stuff?
Let's go on over.
I know people said about Phil Collins, but I had no idea that it was like that he had his own private collection. Look at
so
this.
their 9-pound cannon, it's not a whole lot smaller than that 16-pound, it's just the size of the bore, but you notice there's chunks missing. So there was a ball on the back, which is called a cascabel, and then on the side were basically like the axle for it. And so that's what's mounted into the carriage of the cannon carriage itself, holding it down, and it pivots that way. But by chunking those off, it's now paperweight. And so that's what the Mexican Army was doing, stuff like that, to prevent San Antonio and Texas from going back and trying to fight again to try to beat Mexico the second time around. So they were doing stuff like that. We have a variety of things mixed in with our Spanish colonial and what was Phil Collins' collection, and they're just
in and around.
Wide variety of different things with artwork and cannonballs and books. We've got a dragoon helmet over there.
Okay.
Epaulets, there's swords, there's weaponry, all sorts of fun stuff.
This.
Fancy fancies.
Can you want to come up and see? Look. That's what a belt without a sword. Look at this. look at that. It's what the soldiers would wear.
So we get into some of the Daughters Republic of Texas, who are descendants of some of these folks who helped keep this place going in the early days. Clara Driscoll, whose grandfather fought at the Battle of San Jacinto, became part of our salvage issues that we have dealt with here in order to keep the church and the Long Barrack going. She actually was instrumental in getting the Long Barrack from being torn down and turned into a hotel or a Heroes Memorial Park was one idea that she had. But they did a lot of fundraising. So they're like these commemorative spoons. These are things that were made to be sold to help raise money in order to keep the Long Barrack going. This actually did belong to David Crockett. Did not come to the Alamo when he came. It was handed down through the family and then later donated to us at some point in time. But if you watch the movie from 2004, he's wearing the vest. Billy Bob Thornton was wearing the vest, not this one, but a facsimile of it. And then he gets stabbed, of course, by the Mexican soldiers, and then they're wearing the vest. And I'm like, yeah, that wasn't really what happened, because there's no bayonet holes at all in this, so that's kind of a fun. But I've actually done work where I have tried to reproduce that and way undercharged for the amount of work that goes into it. We get into commemorative stuff and things that come from other descendants and things like that, like the wedding dress we actually have in our collection that belonged to one of the Esparza family, and the Esparzas were here. Enrique Esparza was the youngest of the kiddos that was part of that had something to do with this that we talk about really. Mm-hmm. But his mother was here, his father was here, and his oldest brother. But then we get into, like with the sesquicentennial, then we have things like this chess set and things like that pop up, which are cute and fun.
Pretty cool.
Really don't have to do with anything with the history itself, but
just commemorative.
Yeah. Coins for Hemisphere. Hemisphere was our World's Fair that we had here in San Antonio in 1968. And a lot of downtown, the Riverwalk, all happened in time for because of Hemisphere. And our Long Barrack actually opened up as a museum for the first time for Hemisphere as well. But these are commemorative coins, including their die, which is kind of cool.
It's quite cool that you've got both the die as well as a coin.
Yeah. If anybody really wanted to reproduce them, we've got the die to do it, which is cool. And back here we have a very, very large model of the battlegrounds and everything, narrated by good old Phil. So he is over here. And this was done by Mark Lemon, who lives in Georgia. And we actually had another area where this was actually on display for years. And Phil bought it, so he does did the narration and everything, and eventually, of course, it came into the Alamo's hands because of Phil's gift. So this is kind of nice to actually have a place for this to be out and have fun, and have people enjoy seeing that and where everything happens. So the lights change depending on what he's talking about.
Oh, okay,
for the different sections, so it highlights each one of those.
In part 2, we see the impact Britain had on the Alamo, and we actually get a chance to venture inside this historic building. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And all that leaves us to say is take care, God bless, and see you in part 2.